Friends, we are now under the part 3 of understanding CBS environment interfaces and auditing. My name is CA Kuntalsha. Let's go into detail on the interfaces side now. We have completed up to TBA, CBS, CBS security and auditing part. We'll now focus more onto the interfaces now. Interfaces like ATM, cash deposit machines, RTGS technology and CTS technology. So first we'll be going through the ATM, then the check deposit machine, internet banking, RTGS and CTS. Let us now understand ATM mechanism, and then we'll be understanding the ATM audit the process. First thing first, cash holding cassettes, purge bin and the journal printers. Right. Okay. Cash holding cassette. Cash is replenished in designated cassettes. The ATM is pre-programmed for cash denomination in each cassette. So it needs to be ensured that the cash is properly loaded into the proper cassette. Otherwise, it may create an evoke into the ATM mechanism, whereby if an 1000 rupees note cassette is now having, let's say, 100 rupees, and the 100 rupee cassette is now having 1000 rupees note. So a person, if withdrawing cash of 100 rupees, may get 1000 rupee note. And there are cases of improper replenishment in ATM cash holding cassettes. In that scenario, the situation may come up with this way, that the notes are not getting dispensed properly. Then there is purge bin. Now purge bin, retraction of notes is now disabled. So any note dispense will not be retracted. However, for any mechanical reason, if any note coming out from holding cassette to the dispenser place, if it is having some problem in the mechanical side, it may go into the purge bin. In case of testing of cassette also, the notes will go into the purge bin. So the total balance available under the ATM is cash holding notes available under the cash holding cassette plus the purge bin or the overage bin. Then there is a journal printer which records all the transaction, including the maintenance log that is there into the ATM machine. Let's understand through a picture that how ATM looks from inside. Now these four are cash cassettes. Now when we are doing an audit, we need to ensure that each cassette is taken out one by one. Once the work is completed, it should be kept in place. Now this is the journal printer. This is the printer where we get the receipt for our transaction. This ATM machine has an overage bin here. Then there are machines which are having a system called retained card boxes. Now ATM machines predominantly are of three types. That is the based on which the card is inserted. One is that the swipe cards. So once we need to swipe it and then you can proceed with your transaction. Another one is the half dip machines, where the cards will be half outside and half inside. And the third are the full dip machines. Now full dip machines may have a problem of any technical issue. Then the cards may be swallowed and it may go into one of the bin that is specified for the retained cards. In that scenario, in the next servicing, the cards will be extracted, the card will be taken out and will be handed over to the bank. And now that this journal printer will be recording all the cases that whose card was that retained in the system, and that card will get automatically get hotlisted. So the auditing part, we'll first take out certain reports from this panel. Now this panel will give reports of denomination wise report and switch balance report. So denomination wise is actually known as cassette wise report, which will give us the cassette wise information that cassette 1, cassette 2, 3 and 4 hold how many notes. That needs to be multiplied by the denomination, that is 100 rupees or 1000 rupees or 500 and so on and so forth. The total of this plus the purge bin total should agree with the switch balance report generated from system. The third reconciliation is the reconciliation with GL balance. Now what happens that it is not necessary that all the ATMs, now ATMs are actually of two types when we check it up from the connectivity side. it is an off-site ATM or an on-site ATM. Now, on-site or an off-site ATM. Now, on-site ATMs are the ATMs which are connected to the branch and are having separate GL, whereas the off-site ATMs are not connected to the branch, not serviced by the branch, or probably serviced by the branch, but are not having separate GL. Right. In that scenario, replenishment will be done into a pool account, and then it will be through separate system. It will be tracked for the amount replenished and amount withdrawn from the pool account. Now, in that scenario, GL balance will be received from the head office on or each day morning, and whenever we are verifying, let's say in the morning at 9 o'clock, the GL balance position the branch has received, and a person is verifying at 11 a.m., then any transaction between this period should be adjusted to ensure to check that whether the balance in ATM is tallying with the GL balance or not. Steps for verification. These steps are very important one, and it's only a stereotype steps, but we need to follow it all the steps. On opening of ATM machine, it will be set on supervisory or non-transaction or maintenance mode depending on the type of make or the machine. Obtain cash denomination counter printed from the ATM machine. Verify cassette wise balance as per counter with physical cash. Cassettes should be removed and verified one by one only. Notes in purse, divert or overage bin are also required to be counted. Once the counting is completed, it will be reloaded into the cassette. Compute the total number available by multiplying the denomination with the number of notes available. Maintain the counter slip as working paper. Reconcile the physical balance of cash with the cash counter generated by ATM. Ascertain the amount of physical cash by multiplying the denomination. Total amount should agree with, important one, ATM account balance as per GL account in CBS. In case of verification of ATM at the time of end of day, the balance will also agree with the switch balance if the time is the same. Ancillary aspects. Availability and display of RBI license is mandatory in ATM. Now, which one is the nearest branch, and the maintenance and display of ATM ID is also mandatory now. Based on the past experience, the peak and off-peak days, each ATM is assigned cash retention limit. Replenishment should be within the prescribed limit only. It needs to be ensured that no excess cash is stored into the ATM, nor the shortages, that is the lesser cash is stored into ATM. It is preferable to carry out audit on surprise basis so that even the user, that is the custodians, are not aware of that when we will be checking the ATM cash. Under no circumstances cash can be stored outside the cassette. It should not be that way that the cash is there but it is not loaded into the cassette and it is there in some other hollow part of the ATM. Right? It is not permitted. Dual custody of ATM key or the key and a password set of it should be maintained, and it must be operated by 2 officials. That is minimum requirement. Journal rolls. Now there are 2 methods of journals, that is EJ, that is electronic journals, or the journal printing, that is JP rolls are available. We have seen in the image also. JP roll needs to be extracted and it needs to be stored because it contains all the information about the transaction carried out through that system. Insurance policy should be verified and compliance with the terms and condition of insurance policy should be verified. Swallowed or retained card should be verified and cross-checked with the journal roll whether it is matching, the numbers are matching with journal rolls. Denomination counters, that is pre and post, should be verified. Now there can be the situation wherein when you are going for the verification, the person may, that is the custodian, may replenish the cash. In that scenario, you will have the denomination counter before replenishment. Once you have counted it, all the overage bin, that is all the notes under the overage bin or the purge bin, are also added into the switch, that is cassettes, and then the counters will be updated. Counters update in ATM machine is made manually. There is no cross check available that what amount of replenishment that is actually made by the custodian and the amount that is updated by custodian. Only counting is taking place at the time of replenishment, and that's how we can see that there are numerous frauds available. Nowadays we can check that numerous frauds are happening wherein the replenishment counter will be X whereas replenishment will be x minus, let's say, 2. So counter will show some higher amount of cash, but actual cash will be the lesser one. And through the teaming and letting method, the custodians may switch over the amount through one ATM to other, or they can siphon off the funds. Cash envelopes, if any, deposited in ATM should be reconciled with the journal roll. Journal roll will contain how many cash envelopes are there, and it should be tallied with the journal roll. ATM machine area should be properly maintained, because these are all machines driven. So the area should be cleaned and properly maintained. So now we have completed the ATM part. We are on to cash collection deposit machine. It is like ATM machine only. Cash deposit machine is self-service terminal that enable customers to deposit cash without any manual intervention of the branch official. Now in the ATM machine, the system dispenses the cash, wherein this cash collection machine system accepts the cash on the various denominations. Same concept is there, same cassettes are available, and the system will automatically bifurcate the notes into different cassette. Customer can enter the account number or can use the debit card for account number authorization. On completion of authorization, cash will be deposited by the customer. The system will display the denomination wise detail on acceptance of it will provide customer a deposit receipt. Right now, this cash deposit machines will be opened as a teller into general ledger system, so that we can in that scenario we can verify the balance available in general ledger at that point of time, at the time of verification. The system will also generate the two reports, that is the cash denomination reports and the cassette wise reports, as well as suspected transaction report if there are any. It is advisable to generate the nil report, suspected transaction report also. Audit process for audit of cash collection machine is more or less same of that of ATM machine. Same as I discussed, denomination wise counter slip should be generated from machine, and cash balance should be verified physically. Each set of cash collection machine will be connected with CBS, and a separate account like cash teller will be opened in CBS. Physical balance, denomination counter, balance, and balance as per CBS should be tallied. So we need to tally 1, 2, and 3 balances. Okay, so now we have completed the ATM and the cash acceptance machines. Now smaller parts are of check deposit machines. This is what check deposit machine images from an ICICI bank lobby. Now it accepts the check here. The customer can punch in the account number here. The check image will be scanned and a receipt will be generated from here. In the back end, the report of all the checks like check number and account number will be created. A file will be created. That file can be used for batch processing. So this machine is not doing anything other than accepting check. The processing will be again by the users only. It only provides the file and all the check into a particular that cabinet that will be there inside the machine. Internet banking, the third interface. This facility permits registered customer of bank to perform banking operation at any time of the day from any computer. Now it may also be possible to do it from a cell phone. Nowadays we have the mobile banking also, and now there are app banking also coming into picture. Now app banking works like a wallet, wherein you will have a balance, or you can create a wallet specifically for some purpose. Now recently certain banks have came up with an innovative product wherein you can share the balances from one wallet to another wallet. So you can give it to your friend, relative, some amount through mobile, that too through WhatsApp or some Twitter or Facebook also. So now the banking is going on a completely on a new technological environment. In that scenario, security concerns are there, privacy issues are there, customers being able to view accounts other than their own. It may be possible that if it is not properly, security is not properly created, the issue may come into picture. Wrong or fraudulent fund transfer, that is every day we are finding these kind of situations wherein the wrong or fraudulent fund transfers are taking place. The transfer requested by the customer may be executed wrongly, that is, instead of one account being credited or debited, a different account may be accessed. This weakness could be exploited by customers with fraudulent intention by making unauthorized access to certain customers' account and transferring to their account. To ensure that such kind of events do not occur, the banks have now strengthened their system, whereby it takes 24 hours to change the communication details. So system will give 24 hours time. System will give the old number a message that your number change has been requested for, whether it is correct or not. Through that means only the number can be changed. Even the third party transfer cannot be done immediately. The banks have now restricted it to be used after 12 hours, 24 hours, to ensure that the customer can be should be given the time to assess that whether it is a genuine transfer or not. So now we are on to the RTGS technology, real time gross settlement. Now, till before the RTGS that came into picture, it was an high value clearing. High value clearing used to take a day's time. That if it is given, if the check is given before a cutoff time, then the check will be processed by the evening. That was there in the bigger centers. But again, it used to take 1 day's time. It was instant transfer was only possible when interbank that the accounts are there with the same bank, maybe in the different branch or the same branch. But with the RTGS, real time gross settlement, the transactions can be processed within 2 hours time. So if a person has given request for the fund transfer from one bank account to other bank account, then also it can be transferred within 2 hours time. This is how the entire RTGS topology is, wherein we have the participant network, we have the RBI network, and we have the payment originating system. So participant will access it, that the operator will input all the information based on the schema. That information will go to the RBI central server, that is central RTGS server, where it will have the input processor. It will execute the settlement module. It earmarks and collaterals, and the balances available with RBI will be used for the output processing, and it will go through the payment originator system, and the funds will be passed on to the customer. So this is how the RTGS system is working. On an auditing side, we need to ensure that whether all the required mandatory fields as mandated by Reserve Bank of India is being that guideline is being followed by the bank or not. There have been cases that banks are not mentioning certain details, important details, like the one who has initiated the transfer. So at the time of crediting, that the bank who is crediting may not be aware from whom the funds have came. Friends, we are on to the last part of the interface now, that is the check truncation system, that is CTS. Now on the screen is CTS process flow. Before that, we need to understand what is the normal process before the CTS that has came into existence. There is a bank 1 and there is a bank 2. Now if any outward clearing instrument is given to bank 1, it will collect all the checks and will prepare a list and will go to the clearing house. It will submit it to clearing house. Clearing house is bifurcated into various banks and will hand it over to the other bank, the respective bank, for the processing. Respective bank will come back to the clearing house with the returned instrument, that is where the debit could not take place, and that instrument will be returned to the outward clearing presenting bank. But what happens that in this scenario, the physical checks are moving, and that's how the transaction is taking time of, let's say, t plus 1, that is transaction plus 1 day, to transaction plus 2 day. To ensure that this all the delays are eliminated, Reserve Bank came up with a new system called check truncation system, wherein a check image is scanned into the system. System will identify the check particular and will scan it across into the system. So outward clearing bank will scan the check, will send it to the clearing house, that is that will process the transaction and will send the images to the respective paying banker. Paying banker, based on image, will process the transaction and will intimate the outward return check to the clearing house. Now that check will be intimated to the presenting bank. So what presenting bank will do is, presenting bank will retain the rejected instruments but will send the physical instruments to paying banker, the past instrument. So in this case, the processing is done on image first, and the documents are shared at the second stage. Whereas in the earlier case, it was first this one, and it was not the case. So it has reduced the time of clearing to 1 day. So the same day clearing is also now possible. Now that is what the CTS entire process flow is. Friends, thanks a lot for the patient hearing.